Washington quarter. At first glance, it might look like just another piece of pocket change, but when you dig deeper, it's a coin with history, stories, and even hidden value. From its place in America's economy, to rare minting errors, to its role in everyday life, this simple 25-cent piece is more than meets the eye. If you've got a 1980 quarter at home, take a closer look. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your change jar. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more coin stories, and tap the bell icon so you won't miss the next one. And remember, every coin has a story, you just have to know how to read it. See you in the next video. Asterisk. Do you want me to make this short and snappy, 30 to 40 seconds, or a longer, reflective ending, 1 to 2 minutes, to close your video in a more documentary style? Perfect, thumbs up, thanks for clarifying. Yes, I can definitely expand the 1980 USA $quarter script into a full 4,000-word documentary-style narration for your YouTube channel. The draft I gave you is already structured, but it's sitting around 1,800 to 2,000 words. To push it to 4,000 words, about 25 to 30 minutes of spoken narration, here's what I'd do. Expansion plan. 1. Deeper history of the quarter. Talk more about the early U.S. mint, why decimalization mattered, how the quarter fit into daily trade in the 1800s. Add stories about silver quarters before 1965 and how they disappeared from circulation after the Coinage Act of 1965. 2. The Washington Quarter Design Competition, 1932. Cover the artists involved, the debate over Laura Garden Fraser's design. She was originally favored, but John Flanagan design was chosen. How Washington's image became the face of American small change. 3. Minting technology in 1980. Explain step by step how a quarter was struck, planchets, dies, presses, minting errors. Mention the mint facilities in 1980, Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. 4. Error coins in depth. Case studies of actual auctioned 1980 error quarters. Showcase images. If you're editing video, this is where B-roll of actual coins can pop in. 5. Cultural America, 1980. Reagan election, high inflation, pop culture, arcades, jukeboxes, payphones. The quarter as part of daily rituals, laundromats, toll booths, flipping coins at sports. 6. Collector market evolution. How the value of 1980 quarters has changed from the 80s to today. Which ones are still being actively hunted. 7. Longer outro reflection. Position the coin as a link between everyday people and American history. Subtle invitation to viewers to check their change and share their own finds in the comments. Pushpin. That full expansion will give you a script around 4,000 words, ready for a full-length video. Backhand index pointing right question for you. Do you want me to write the entire 4,000-word script in one go here, a big documentary-style narration, or would you prefer me to deliver it in sections, intro plus chapters 1 to 2, then next batch, etc., so it's easier to manage for your editing? Great! You want a 4,000-word YouTube script for the 1994 USA Washington quarter dollar. That's a full documentary-style deep dive. Just like with the 1980 quarter script, I'll create it with storytelling plus education tone, perfect for YouTube narration. Chapters/sections, history, design, minting, errors, collector value, cultural context, fun facts. Hooks, transitions, and call-to-action moments to keep viewers watching. Final length, 4,000 words. Clapperboard YouTube script, the 1994 Washington quarter, secrets behind a common coin. Microphone intro, hook. Camera slowly zooms in on a 1994 Washington quarter resting under a magnifying glass. Background music, mysterious, cinematic. Narrator, engaging tone. Have you ever looked at a coin in your pocket and wondered, could this be worth more than its face value? That's the question collectors around the world ask every single day. Now, let's take one coin that most of us have seen at some point. The 1994 Washington quarter. At first glance, it seems ordinary. Just 25 cents. But behind this humble piece of metal lies history, artistry, minting technology, rare errors, and even hidden treasures that can turn a quarter into a collector's dream. By the end of this video, you'll know the full story of the 1994 Washington quarter, and you may never look at your change the same way again. Classical Building, Chapter 1. The Origin of the Quarter. Narrator. To understand the 1994 quarter, we have to travel back nearly 2 centuries. The U.S. quarter was authorized by the Coinage Act of 1792, the same law that created the dollar, dime, and cent. It was part of America's revolutionary idea of a decimal-based currency system. And from the very beginning, the quarter was chosen as one of the most practical coins.
Why?
Because 25 cents equals 1/4 of a dollar, easy to use in trade, easy to divide, and essential for daily life. The very first quarters appeared in 1796, featuring Lady Liberty. Over the years, designs changed: draped bust, capped bust, seated Liberty, barber, and the standing Liberty. Each coin reflected the nation's evolving identity. But in 1932, everything changed. To honor the 200th birthday of America's first president, the Mint introduced the Washington quarter. Sculptor John Flanagan design placed George Washington's bust on the obverse, with a bold eagle on the reverse. That design would dominate U.S. quarters for decades, and it's the same design we see in 1994. Magnifying Glass Tilted Right Chapter 2. The 1994 quarter. Basic Facts. Narrator. So, let's zoom in on the year 1994. By this time, Washington quarters had been struck in copper-nickel-clad composition for almost 30 years. Before 1965, they were made of 90% silver, but rising silver prices forced the Mint to change. From 1965 onward, quarters were a sandwich of pure copper inside and nickel-copper alloy outside. Now, here's how the 1994 mintages break down. Philadelphia, no mint mark, 825,600,000 coins. Denver, D mint mark, 880,034,110 coins. San Francisco, S mint mark, 2,484,594 proof coins. That's over 1.7 billion quarters struck in 1 year. But not all quarters are created equal. Some 1994 quarters are ordinary, worth just 25 cents. Others are highly sought after by collectors. Moneybag Chapter 3. Collector Value and Grades. Narrator. Building Excitement. Let's talk money. What's a 1994 quarter really worth? Circulated examples. In worn condition, these coins usually trade for face value, 25 cents. Mint state, uncirculated in pristine condition, a 1994 quarter can fetch $5 to $15 at MS65. High grades, at MS67 and above, values can skyrocket. Some 1994 D quarters graded MS68 have sold for over $1,000 at auction. Proofs. San Francisco proof quarters, struck with polished dies, are popular with collectors. A deep cameo 1994 S proof can bring $20 to $50 depending on condition. The lesson. If you've got a shiny 1994 quarter, don't spend it without checking. It could be worth far more than 25 cents. High Voltage Chapter 4. Errors and Varieties. Narrator. Now, this is where things get exciting. Mint errors can transform a common coin into a collector's jackpot. Some of the most notable 1994 Washington quarter errors include: 1. Double die errors. If the lettering, date, or motto shows doubling, it's called a double die. These are rare but can be worth hundreds. 2. Off-center strikes. If the coin design is not properly centered, the more dramatic the error, the higher the value. Severe off-center 1994 quarters can fetch $200 or more. 3. Clipped planchets. A coin missing a chunk of metal on the edge. These errors often sell for $50 to $150. 4. Broad strikes. Coin struck without the protective collar, leading to a stretched, oversized appearance. These quirky errors are popular among collectors. 5. Wrong planchet strikes. Extremely rare but possible. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel or foreign coin blank. Such mistakes can be worth thousands. So yes, keep your eyes open. That 1994 quarter in your hand could be hiding a minting mystery. Chart Increasing Chapter 5. The Economic Context. Narrator. Coins don't exist in a vacuum. They're tied to their time. In 1994, the U.S. was in a period of economic growth. Bill Clinton was president, technology was booming, and inflation was relatively low. A quarter in 1994 could buy you a payphone call, yes, those were still around, a pack of gum or a candy bar, a spin on an arcade machine. Adjusted for inflation, 25 cents in 1994 is equal to about 50 cents in today's money. Not huge, but enough to remind us how our daily transactions evolve. Artist Palette Chapter 6. Design and Legacy. Narrator. Let's return to the artistry. The 1994 quarter still carried John Flanagan Washington bust, the same portrait from 1932. But here's something interesting. By the 1990s, critics were already debating whether the design had grown stale. Many called for modernization. And indeed, just 5 years later, the Washington quarter would undergo one of the biggest changes in U.S. coin history. The 50-state quarters program launched in 1999. This program would transform the reverse design, honoring each U.S. state in turn, and spark a nationwide collecting craze. That makes the 1994 quarter a kind of last chapter in the traditional Washington Eagle reverse era. Detective, Chapter 7. How to check your 1994 quarter. Narrator, practical, tutorial tone. So you've got a 1994 quarter. How do you know if it's valuable? 1. Check the mint mark, look under the date. P equals Philadelphia, D equals Denver, S equals San Francisco. 2. Examine condition. If it looks brand new, with no scratches or wear, it could be mint state. 3. Look for errors. Use a magnifying glass. Doubling, off-center strikes, clipped edges, all matter. 4. Weigh it. A standard quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If it weighs differently, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. 5. Get it graded. Serious collectors send their coins to grading services like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can multiply value dramatically. Remember, the key to value is rarity, condition, and demand. Globe Showing Europe-Africa Chapter 8. Cultural Impact. Narrator. In 1994, quarters weren't just money. Perfect thumbs up, you want a full 4,000-word YouTube script for the 1979 Washington Quarter, USA. I'll structure it like a documentary-style narration, detailed, engaging, and broken into chapters so it works naturally for a video. Here's the complete expanded script, approximate 4,000 words. Clapperboard YouTube script, the 1979 Washington Quarter, hidden history of a common coin. Microphone intro, hook. Close-up of a shiny 1979 Washington Quarter rotating under a light. Background, cinematic, mysterious music. Narrator. Have you ever pulled a coin out of your pocket and thought, is this just loose change, or could it be something much more valuable? Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1979 Washington Quarter. To most people, it's just a piece of pocket change, 25 cents, nothing special. But behind this coin lies a story of American history, artistry, technology, rare minting errors, and even treasures worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. By the end of this video, you'll know why the 1979 quarter is far more than just spare change. So grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to uncover every secret hiding in this little coin. Classical Building, Chapter 1. The Origins of the U.S. Quarter. Narrator. To understand the 1979 quarter, we need to travel back to the very beginning of America's coinage. In 1792, the U.S. Congress passed the Coinage Act, establishing the dollar as the nation's base currency and dividing it into cents, nickels, dimes, and quarters. The quarter, worth 1/4 of a dollar, was seen as especially practical. It could easily divide a dollar into 4 parts, making it perfect for trade, wages, and everyday purchases. The earliest quarters, minted in 1796, bore images of Lady Liberty. Over the decades, designs shifted: draped bust, capped bust, seated liberty, barber, and standing liberty. Each design reflected the era's ideals. But by the late 1920s, the mint was preparing to honor America's first president. In 1932, for the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, sculptor John Flanagan design was chosen. Washington's bust appeared on the obverse, with an eagle on the reverse. This design would dominate American coinage for more than 60 years, and it's exactly what we see on the 1979 quarter. Magnifying glass tilted right, Chapter 2. The 1979 quarter. Basic facts. Narrator. So what makes the 1979 quarter stand out? First, let's talk about the composition. Before 1965, quarters were 90% silver. But silver prices skyrocketed, forcing the mint to adopt a new formula. From 1965 onward, quarters were made of copper-nickel clad, a sandwich of copper core with nickel on the outside. The 1979 quarter is part of this modern clad era. Here's the mintage breakdown for 1979. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, 515,708,000 coins. Denver Mint, D mint mark, 489,789,780 coins. San Francisco Mint, S mint mark, 3,677,175 proof coins. That's over 1 billion quarters struck in 1979. But as we'll see, not all of them are equal. Some are common pocket change. Others are rare treasures. Moneybag, Chapter 3. Value and collectability. Narrator. So, how much is a 1979 quarter worth today? Circulated examples. In average worn condition, they're worth their face value, just 25 cents. Uncirculated, mint state and MS-65 quarter can bring $5 to $10. High grades, in MS-67 and above, values climb sharply. A top-quality 1979 D quarter has sold for over $1,500 at auction. Proofs. San Francisco struck proof coins for collectors. These coins, especially deep cameo examples, range from $10 to $50. So while most 1979 absolutely thumbs up, let's build a full 4,000-word, documentary-style YouTube script about the 1993 Washington Quarter, USA. This will be structured for narration, engaging for viewers, and long enough to sustain a 25 to 30-minute video with visuals. Here's the complete script. Clapperboard YouTube script, the 1993 Washington Quarter, Secrets of a Modern Classic. Microphone intro, hook. Slow zoom on a gleaming 1993 quarter under dramatic lighting. Background. Subtle cinematic music. Narrator. Everyday pocket change. To most people, that's all a quarter is worth, 25 cents. But what if I told you that a simple 1993 Washington quarter could carry a story of American history, hidden minting errors, and even surprising collector value? Today, we're exploring the 1993 quarter, a coin from the modern clad era, but one with plenty of secrets waiting to be uncovered. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes the 1993 quarter worth more than spare change. Let's dive in. Classical Building, Chapter 1. A Brief History of the Quarter. Narrator. To understand the 1993 quarter, we need to look back at the origins of the American quarter itself. The U.S. quarter was born in 1796. Early designs showed liberty in classical style, draped bust, capped bust, seated liberty, barber, and standing liberty. Each era's design reflected the culture of its time. But in 1932, America celebrated George Washington's 200th birthday. To honor the nation's first president, the U.S. Mint introduced the Washington Quarter, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's bust appeared on the obverse, with a heraldic eagle on the reverse. This design remained unchanged for decades, making the Washington Quarter one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. And by 1993, the design was still going strong. Magnifying glass tilted right, Chapter 2. The 1993 quarter. Basic facts. Narrator. So, what makes the 1993 quarter unique? By the 1990s, quarters were struck in copper-nickel clad, a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel. This had been the standard since the Coinage Act of 1965 ended the use of 90% silver. Here's the mintage breakdown for 1993. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, 639,276,000 coins. Denver Mint, D mint mark, 645,476,128 coins. San Francisco Mint, S mint mark, proof 3,394,792 coins. That's over 1.28 billion quarters struck in a single year. Most ended up in circulation, but a small number of pristine examples and proofs survive for collectors. Moneybag Chapter 3. Value and Collectability. Narrator. How much is a 1993 quarter worth today? Circulated examples. Most are worth just face value, 25 cents. Uncirculated examples. In MS-65 condition, they can fetch $5 to $15. High-grade rarities. MS-67 coins are scarcer and can bring $200 to $400. Proofs, San Francisco. These collector strikes, especially deep cameo proofs, typically range from $10 to $30. So while most 1993 quarters remain common, the highest grade specimens and unusual errors can command serious premiums. High Voltage Chapter 4. Errors and Varieties. Narrator. This is where things get exciting. Error coins from 1993 are highly collectible. Some notable varieties and errors include 1. Double die obverse. Look for doubling on the date or the motto, "In God We Trust." These errors can bring $50 to $200. 2. Off-center strikes. If part of the design is missing due to an off-center strike, values range from $100 to $500 depending on severity. 3. Clipped planchets. Quarters with a crescent-shaped clip from a faulty blank are worth $30 to $100. 4. Broad strikes. Coins struck without a collar, spreading out abnormally, can fetch $50 plus. 5. Wrong planchet errors. Extremely rare. Imagine a quarter struck on a dime planchet. These mistakes can be worth hundreds or even thousands. Collectors prize these errors because they're tangible reminders of the challenges of mass coin production.